Alrighty, ladies, so we will need a bit of wall space today. We'll need a bolster or a couple of folded blankets or a small pillow. Just to put this aside for the moment. And let's come onto our mats, just loosen everything up. Of course, we can't do effective strengthening work around the pelvic floor or anywhere really if we have tight, tense muscles. So let's just loosen everything up. Nice wide feet, lift your toes, spread them, put your weight in your heels, and then just kind of bend the knees behind you, shoulders sliding down. And we'll take our hands and just start to swish around the body. If you turn the palms of the hands to lead the swish, so you're kind of pushing through space, that's ideal. Keep the base of your shoulder blades sliding down your back. Take some nice deep full breaths in. And then use the movement to push the breath out of your lungs. This just kind of starts to open up the intercostal muscles between the ribs. It's a bit of movement in the thoracic spine. Good. That's the way. And then come down, take your fingertips onto the shoulders. Take some big backward circles with those elbows, loosening up the shoulder joints. This helps us with our posture, obviously, mobilizing the shoulders. And then drop down into your goddess stance. Nice lateral stretch, up and over, taking this rib cage up and away from the pelvis, breathing here underneath the armpit. Lovely, up and over to the other side. Weight is in your heels, behind you, torso is straight. Shoulder slides down away from your ears. On that exhalation, create a bit of space here. And just noticing your jaw. So while we're static here, with your jaw, let it be nice and loose. And over. Beautiful, hands just above the knees, lifting your tail behind you, spreading sitting bones, tucking the tail. So you inhale to lift and spread, you exhale to tuck. So just mobilize around the pelvis, using the breath in to lift, the breath out to tuck, and then start to take that movement right up the spine. So going into that cat arch, and then the cowl lift, exaggerating the breathing. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. Nice bit of mobility up the spine. And then leaving the tail behind you, we'll go into that swish, just to get into the hip joints. One of those kind of fantastic movements just to open up the back line of the body, get those rotator muscles nice and warmed up around those hip joints, opening up the pelvic floor, swishing, 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 swishing. Slow it down and stretch the leg now. So we're going a little bit more into those inner thigh muscles, adductor muscles. Swish, swish, swish. And keep the swish over here, knees bent, pull those toes back. So we've got a nice long stretch into these adductors. Give them a bit of a rub. Pull those toes right back. Lovely, swishing down and then over to the other side. Knee stays on top of heel here. Rub the inner thigh. That's the way. Get right into those adductor muscles. And then come back and hands on hips just to roll the pelvis around. Getting some nice vascular flow around those organs. Big circles, as if you've got a clock face and you're swirling the pelvis around the clock face. Good. Arms out to the side, shoulders down. Pull the fingers back slightly and take the pelvis in the other direction. See if you can feel the squeezy sensation between your shoulder blades. Maybe hands up towards the ceiling, getting the breath coming underneath the armpits. That diaphragmatic breathing is so, so important. Good. Fantastic. And just give me one of these. Big breath in. Sigh the breath out. Waking up, breath in. Good. Come on over to your bit of wall. So we want to open up the fascia through the body. So fingertips on the wall and about that height there. So walk yourself back with your feet directly underneath your pelvis. Lift your toes and spread them. Massage across your feet for a moment so you mobilize your ankles. And then pushing down and slightly out with your feet so your inner arches don't collapse inwards. Your knees feel nice and aligned up your legs. Pushing slightly out with your fingertips. Rolling the armpits towards the ground. Shoulders spreading. So you feel that space between your shoulders. Now slightly pushing up towards the ceiling. Stretching out, pushing up. Base of the rib cage in the knees if you need to bend the knees. But we want to have a nice straight back as opposed to straight legs and rounded back, yeah? So use this to lengthen the vertebra of the spine away from each other. You're stretching the breath. Now, just stay there. If you find that as you breathe in, your breath sticks and it starts to make it feel a bit shaky, diaphragm's probably a bit stuck. So I want you just to be gentle with yourself. Come up, take a few breaths here, and then come back down again. Focusing on the exhalation. The inhalation will come of its own accord. So exhale completely, all the puff out of you. And then allow the space you've just created here to pull that next breath into your lungs. We're going to move the right hand over to the left side here. And then bend the left knee slightly and let the right hip slide back. So from fingertips right down to the hip, we're stretching, opening up the back line of the body as well. Sitting bones nice and wide here. Bending the knees again, come back into the center, left hand over to right side, bending that right knee slightly, left hip back. And then slowly come back into the center. Take one foot forward, the other foot back. Coming to the psoas stretch here. So up onto those back toes, heelers up, bending to the front knee. Fingertips on the wall. Just pause here for a moment, feeling that deep psoas opening here. Drop down a little bit deeper with the knee towards the wall to go right into your quadriceps as well. And if it feels all right, maybe taking the hand up towards the ceiling, a little bit of a back bend. Lengthening through fingers, pressing the heel back. Big breath in. Swapping sides, doing the other side here too. So opening those hip flexors, dropping the knee down towards the wall, maybe lifting hands. If that does not feel good, just hands on the wall, chin drawn in, base of rib cage in, but feeling that lovely kind of stretch that's happening right from up here all the way down to the heel. Lovely. And then just coming up, I'm going to get you to come into a lateral stretch against the wall. So standing near the wall, hand on the wall like this, push your hip away from the wall and other fingers up on the wall. So taking the whole sideline of the body, breathing here. Let's just mobilize the head while we're here as well. Bend the knees, slowly coming out of that side, swapping over to the other side. So I'll just do it here on this other wall. Hips pushing out, so you're like a crescent moon. If you push a little bit more firmly down through the outer heel, you'll find that the stretch increases. You bend the knees slightly, coming out of that, coming into getting tall against the wall. So I'll do it on this wall so you can see me. And we want to have our heels just about an inch or two away from the wall. You're stretching your toes apart, nice wide base. Soften the knees, push down and slightly out with your feet. So you can feel your abductor muscles, outer thigh muscles, slightly activate. Your bottom is pushing backwards. So you want to feel the sacrum here, pressing into the wall. Roll the shoulders up and down. So up towards your ear, slide it back and then down. Palms facing forward, back of the hands into the wall, wrists and forearms into the wall. Now draw the chin in, so you give yourself a double chin, and see if you can get the rest of the back of your head just resting onto the wall without popping your pelvis out. And now we want to drop the base of the ribcage, these floating ribs, slightly dropping them down. Again, your head will want to come off, your pelvis might want to come off. See if you can keep them as back as possible. And then the only way to breathe is out here into your ribs. So try not to breathe here and let your shoulders lift and drop. Imagine you have gills like a fish and you're breathing out sideways. So we'll just check in with the feet dropping down slightly out to activate the legs, pressing back with your sacrum, so bum pushing back with the back of your arms, so they're quite active. Dropping the base of the rib cage. Sometimes I like to say, just imagine where your bra strap is. You're trying to sort of get your bra strap to push into the wall as well. And then a gentle pressing backwards with the ridge of your head. Good, so just breathing here. I know it's uncomfortable. Just stay with this weird kind of activation of the back line as we push into the wall. Good, and then just slowly coming off the wall. So you'll feel like the tin woman here. Roll the shoulders, drop the head, just roll the whole upper body. Head and shoulders rolling around, rolling around, rolling. And then come and stack yourself into alignment. So we're looking for ears on top of shoulders, on top of pelvis here, behind us, running down through the knees and through ankles and then through the feet. So it should feel super comfortable. And if you were to lock your knees, you'd fall backwards. That's what we're looking for. So let's go into some squats. Arms out in front of us. Put your weight in your heels. Feet are going straight forward, dropping down. So this is one of those fantastic, very deep activations through pelvic floor and deep core muscles. Stop here in, it's called Utkatasana, power pose. So just pausing here for a moment. Take a couple of breaths, shoulders down. Feels like you've got this sort of slight activation between your thighs. So this feels as if there's a magnet between your thighs here. Now, as we breathe out, we push the floor away and we come up. Hands up as well. That just activates the whole chain of your core muscles as you come up. So dropping down, weight is in your heels, pushing the floor away to come up. Imagine you're throwing a basketball, slow-mo into basketball hoop. Breathing out, breathing out. You want to feel like the tight high-waisted jeans are zipping up as you come up. Good. 3. Let's do this last 2 really slowly. 2 and 1. Fantastic. So coming into your Tadasana again. Hopefully your glutes are slightly switched on now. Make sure your behind is behind you again. Start to activate your thigh muscles, left thigh muscles squeezing the thigh bone. So you kind of go inwards. All the weight is in that left heel. Take your right foot back behind you. Do a couple of little tips upwards with your foot to get your right glute switched on. See if you can feel that kind of zipping up sensation. I like to imagine either a big heavy golden crown is on top of my head, or there's a string from the crown of the head lifting up towards the ceiling. So you have this constant lifting sensation through the very top of your head. All right, dropping those toes onto the ground, opening up your crocodile crunch hands. As we breathe out again, we're doing that zipping up sensation. So breathing out, knee comes up, hands come together. Pause here just for a moment. Make sure the weight is in your heels, crown is lifting. And then open. Now you might take your toes to the ground, or you might go back into that glute squeeze. Squeeze, crunch. Inhale, open. Squeeze, crunch. Inhale, open. Now see if you can soften the little muscles around your eyes. See if you can make your eyes feel really kind of lazy. This is your dristi, your eye gaze. And what we're doing is we're telling the brain that we're relaxed, we're chill. And meanwhile, we're stressing the body. Good. Breathing in, breathing out. So we want that thigh, standing leg thigh, to start to squeal at us. So keep the knee slightly bent. See if you can reuse your thigh muscles, strengthening the thigh bone, hip joint. And one more. No, I love doing this. Knee up, arms out, shoulders down. Just see if you can hang here for a moment, smiling. See if you can put out. Keep breathing, crown of the head is lifting. And then drop down. And just give yourself a little rinse out through the hip joint here. So this is my Elvis twist. Releasing that hip joint, giving the leg a bit of a rinse here. Also going right here into that thoracic spine, which we love to keep this part of the body nice and active. Let's do that on the other side. So, right leg, activate. Left foot behind you. A couple of little pickups here. So we're going to gluteus medius, the top of your bum here at the side. And this is really important for stabilizing. So just keep those guys nice and happy and switched on. And then dropping the foot, make sure that the knee's slightly bent, so don't lock that standing leg. Pressing down through the heel, opening up your crocodile jaws and exhaling to snap. Inhaling to open, exhaling to snap. Now, if at the moment balance means just coming here and a little rise, do what feels okay. There's nothing wrong with having one finger on a wall as well, just to help the balance to start off with. It's something that will develop in time. Keep lifting through the crown of your head, pressing through the heel. Breathing out as if you're blowing out one of those really annoying happy birthday candles that don't blow out the first time. So you've got to go. Breathing in. That's it. Lifting the knee. If you wobble, that's all good because the standing foot is having to work harder. Let's just do two more. 1 and 2. So we can lift up, shoulders down. Karate Kid, relax. Stick your butt out. Breathe, drop, and rinse it. Rinse, 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 rinse. Good. Give it a little bit of an Elvis twist. Rinse it all out. And then come over to your bit of wall space. So we're just going to open up this whole area here and bring the heart rate down. So before we contract those pelvic floor muscles, we're just going to lengthen them. So I'm going to get you to take your sitting bones. So just put your fingertips on the bones underneath your bum muscles, and then lift your bum and see if you can put those sitting bones on the wall, and then just kind of walk them up the wall until you feel your hamstrings going, that's enough. So we go to where we're just on that nice stretch, not ouchy stretch. Hands width above the knees. Now, breathe in here, and then as you breathe out, drop one shoulder and look up over the other shoulder and sigh your breath out like, ah. Breathe in, and go, ah. Nice loose jaw, sighing the breath out. Now you want to try and flower your anus. Yes, I said that correctly. Flower your anus as you release your shoulders. Breathe in. So you're not pushing down, you're not bearing down, you're just relaxing your pelvic floor, almost like you could eliminate if you were sitting on the loo. So that relaxed. And sometimes it helps visual people to imagine an actual flower, a lotus flower, just opening it up. So if you do suffer from tension around the pelvis, this is a nice one to do, just to encourage that proprioception. Against will help you to open up, soften around the sitting bones, around the tailbone, into the back of the pelvic floor. Okay, so come back, and I'm just going to slide our bottom down the wall. So keep your knees wide. You want to have your knees pretty much on top of your ankles. Pause as soon as your groin feels open enough. No straining, just a nice stretch here. And then just gently use your forearms or maybe your elbows, if your elbows are on the inside of your knees, to gently push your knees outwards. So again, loose jaw, soft face, shoulders relaxed, deep stretch. Good, and then slide your bottom down. To take the legs up the wall, hip against the wall for a moment, legs up the wall, feet are on the wall. So we want to push the heels into the wall and peel up the back and then drop back down again. When you come down, do a little tilt the other way. So your sacrum's pressing into the ground, you get a gap here underneath the back, and then flatten belly towards the ground and come up and then back again. That's it. So tilting, just like cat and cow, but we're using the wall. Exhaling to come up, inhaling to come down. Good. Pressing, just pausing here for a moment. Press your heels into the wall and just see if you can feel that real activation into the hamstrings, the glutes, and a drawing in and up of the pelvic floor. Then release it down again, consciously opening, spreading. And then I'm going to get you to slide your bolster or your pillows, maybe even just folded blankets, but something underneath your pelvis to give you a little bit of height here, so we can get a bit deeper into the pelvic floor muscles and the deep core muscles here. Helps us to activate simply because the diaphragm now has gravity working with it to press the breath out of us, and we naturally then get a vacuum up from the pelvic floor. So let's start nice loose jaw with just breathing in and feeling your pelvic floor relax and feeling your lower belly expand and feeling the ribs flaring out to the side. And then breathing out, and I don't want you to do anything much, just see if you can feel this kind of 360 breathing, opening and then drawing in and slightly up. So we're talking all of the muscles below the rib cage here. Everything feels like it's expanding backwards, forwards, sideways, and then drawing in. Good. So now start to exaggerate your breath out by going. And see if you can imagine as you breathe out that your pelvic floor muscles, so the front, like you're stopping yourself weeing, the back, like you're stopping yourself passing wind, the middle, like you're kind of pulling up a tampon a little bit higher. As you exhale, you're sucking in and up. And then as you inhale, big breath in, you're just relaxing everything. So breathing out, in and up, zipping right up towards your ribs, and then releasing on that inhale. Now, if this feels quite new to you and trying to get from the pelvic floor upwards is new, stay with that because you really need to be able to gather pelvic floor muscles before we switch on deep transverse abdominal muscles, before it comes up to get those obliques and then the recti muscles as well. And then we want to unzip everything like we're unzipping our jeans and just go. So zipping up and then down. Now, if you've been doing that already for a while, we'll go into the hyperpressive breath. You want to use your feet as well. So pressing heels into the wall and then pulling toes off. So what you do with this is we expand the ribs out to the side on the inhale. We breathe out completely. So there's no puff left in those lungs at all. All the puff is out. And then at the end, we don't breathe in, but we do a pull in the toes back and we let the ribs flare out to the side again, and we feel this scooping sensation. Diaphragm is really pulling up, pelvic diaphragm also pulling up. We get scooping through the lower belly. As soon as you need to breathe, you let it all go. There'll be a little bit of puff you need to let out, and then you breathe in again. Okay, so I'll talk you through that one more time. We breathe in, we breathe out completely. Every bit of puff, nothing left in your lungs. And then you scoop and you flare your ribs out. And then you let it go. You normally need a few breaths here. I'm just going to do a couple more of those. Breathing in. Pull the breath out. Couple of breaths. Try one more here. Breathing in. Breathing out completely. Activation. Good. Legs up towards the ceiling. Give your legs a shake. And then push your heels away from you. Pull the toes towards you. Just rub the back of your legs. Turn the toes out, the heels together. Rub the outside of your legs. That's the way. Legs apart. Rub the inside of your legs. Pushing out through those heels. Toes nice and active. Lovely. We're going to do a bit more core switching on, but also with the pelvis lifted. Just so organs are pulling away from pelvic floor muscles. We're not bearing down at all. Support your legs as much as you need to with your arms. You can always bend your knees as well, like so. We're going to exhale as we breathe out. You zip up through the vagina, through the lower belly, right up towards your rib cage. The corsatory muscles come inwards, and then you unzip and you release. Remember, this is an option. And you can kind of support your knees as much as you need to. Arms can always go overhead. If you want to take it that a little bit, make it that a little bit harder. It just helps to open up the ribs. Make sure you're really zipping up. You can feel that pelvic floor, then deep core muscles activating, then the corsatory muscles coming in. Beautiful. Just pausing here for a moment. Let your belly be nice and relaxed. Now get you to switch on these adductor muscles on the outside, the stabilizing muscles. So hands on the outside of the knees. Bring your toes off the wall. Start to press gently outwards with your knees. Press inwards with your hands. Feel that activation there. And then also get a little lift through your core muscles. Beautiful. And then just feet slightly off the wall. Hands just above the knees. Pressing into knees as knees press into hands. Get the shoulders away from the ears. And again, breathing out to feel that pelvic floor deep core activation. Beautiful. Let that all go. Take your bolster away. Shuffle back onto your mat. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. Left leg stretching out. So go right into those hip flexors now. Let them nice and lengthened hip flexors. Left arm above the head. Now, pull fingers and toes apart. Breathe deeply, so you stretch your ribs out to the side. Maybe start to float fingers and toes over to the right side of your mat. Take a couple of breaths here. I'm just going to mobilize that right foot since it's just kind of hanging in space. Always good to take the opportunity to get those ankles nice and refreshed. That's the way. And come back into the center, pausing for a moment with the knees apart. Other side, stretching out. Floating fingers and toes over to the left side of the mat. So this just gets the whole of the fascial system underneath the skin surface hydrated, lengthened, hydrated. Gives us an opportunity to really get the diaphragm unstuck, intercostal muscles working, breathing into down here where we have most of our lung capacity. Good. And then baby pose, so feet up towards the ceiling, ankles nice and wide, feet nice and active, grabbing hold of your calf muscles or your ankles, or maybe even fingers onto the arches of the feet. See if you can then imprint your back onto the mat as much as you possibly can. And I always love to add a little bit of, I'll call it a parachute rock. So imagine you've got parachute strings and you're just kind of pulling one and then the other and gliding through the beautiful blue sky with the sun out. So you can consciously relax your pelvic floor muscles. So flouring the anus, relaxing around the front and the middle of the pelvic floor, letting those inner thigh muscles soften. See if you can consciously soften your shoulders. And of course, the muscles around the eyes, muscles between your eyebrows, cheeks, and jaw. Give yourself a nice big yawn. Good, good, good. Knees in towards chest, massaging across the thigh from one direction, other direction. Arms out to the side. Drop the knees over to one side, coming into a rinsing twist. And just pausing here. If you find your knees are right up off the ground, just take your legs down a little bit or put a pillow underneath your knees. So see if you can melt your shoulder girdle into the ground. Really enjoy that twist through the intestines. Lovely for the back. And then splitting the knees, slowly coming up and over to the other side. So the spine just loves this rinsing movement. That's the way. And then just take yourself either feet together and knees out, hand on heart, hand on belly, or if that doesn't feel good, just let your legs be nice and splayed like so. And I'm going to get you to close your eyes. See if you can allow the breath to flow right down into your bottom hand. And imagine the breath is coming from your heart, flowing down into your pelvic region, around the lower belly muscles and into the organs, and then sliding back. So almost like a bicycle chain of energy and love and affection and just internal TLC. Mentally saying the words, the mantra, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Just allowing your body to have a little bit of mental applause, mental gratitude. This cloak of ours is very good quality. And when we give it attention and when we give it some affection and when we give it what it needs and when we listen, it starts to respond. And it starts to shine. Very good. If you're able to gift yourself another 5 minutes just lying here, then please do. I'm going to wrap up the practice though today. So for those of you who also need to do that, just bring yourself into a little ball, like so. Rock and roll up and down the spine. It's just like pushing the reset button on the computer. Coming up. Lift and drop those shoulders. Roll and then place the head. Imaginary crown being put on top of the head. Imaginary ermine cloak being placed over the shoulders. And taking the fingertips out to the side. Turn the palms to face the ceiling. Take a deep, full, invigorating breath in. Fingertips up towards the ceiling and then go. Letting it all go. Thanking you and everyone for coming and just practicing today. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.